everybody. Today we're going to show you how I made this recess card. It's a insert that is recessed inside. It makes it a beautiful card, and I made a Christmas card as I'm starting to think about my Christmas cards in the inside. And I'm going to show you how I made this so you can make it too. And remember that this card here can go in the mail at a regular stamp. There's nothing special about it other than you making it. So this is how it's made. We are going to take an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, and you're going to cut it across the 8.5. So this is 4.25 by 4.25 by 11. Okay, so this is going to be your card. As you can tell, this is the card, but you don't fold it in half like you normally would a card. What we are going to do is we are going to score this. You are going to score this at 5 3/8. So you're going to score this at 5 3/8. Whoops, 5 3/8. And if your scoreboard, like my short one here, doesn't have the 5 3/8, all you need to do is put a little mark with your pencil here, and then just push it over to the next one, which should be like lined up with your first mark on this end, not to the very edge. And then you'll score it down at 5 3/8 and 5 5/8. So this little fold here should be 1/4 inch. So again, you'll score it 5 3/8 and 5 5/8. Then you'll take your card and you will take your pencil and your crayon and you will measure 3/4 inch from the inside here, 3/4 inch from the inside. You will make a notch, and at 1 inch you'll make a notch. So there'll be 2 notches. You will do this on all 4 sides, going at 3/4 inch and 1 inch. And then from the first fold here, you will go 3/4 inch to 1 inch, and 3/4 inch to 1 inch. Then you will meet all the lines. What I do is I mark it from the fold right down to the edge on both lines. So you end up with this marking. Don't worry about the marking. We are going to cover that with decorative paper anyway, so it's not going to show. So what you're going to be left with is 3/4 inch on the outside here and 1/4 inch on the inside here. And then you have your piece in the inside. Okay? Then you're going to take your scoreboard and you are going to score that line, and it should be easy to measure because don't forget you have lines. So you're going to line that, and you are going to take your scoreboard and you're going to take from the corner all the way down to the following corner, 1/4 inch all the way down, and you're going to do that on 4 sides. You're going to flip it over and do the outside line here and the inside line here, and the same right here. Okay? Can you see what I mean? Then you end up with a square like this that is embossed. All right? Now you will take, if you're on a cutting board already, you're fine, but if not, make sure you have something you can cut on so you don't cut your desk. You're going to take a ruler and you are going to go from one end to the next corner. Okay? What I mean by that is you're going to go from, let me come a little closer to make sure you can see. You are going to take from this corner here to this corner here, and you're going to cut a straight line across, and you are going to go here to here and do the same thing. So you'll end up with an X. Now you can do this with your cutting board and so forth. I tend to do it this way. It's, for me, it's just a little closer, just one less thing on my desk for the moment, so it works for me. So I'm going to take my ruler, put it on that corner, put it on that corner. Now, if you are cutting with an X-Acto knife, be careful. And I always find it's easier to do 2 light strokes than 1 heavy one. The reason being for that is I find that it doesn't rip the paper, it just cuts through all the fibers, which is what makes the paper in the end. So you can feel it go right through. So I end up with this, okay? Now at this point, I'm going to flip my card over this way. And I'm going to take, so in other words, I'm opening up my card because we've done the fold, which will accommodate the recess. We have measured and scored the 4 sides, and we've cut from one end to the other of the 4 sides. So now you're going to open your card. You are going to take one end. You are going to fold it back to the first score. So this piece here is 3/4 of an inch. And then you're going to fold back the triangular, I guess, so you could call it, and this makes 1/4 of an inch here, okay? You're going to do that on the 4 sides. Bend back, bend forward, make sure that you burnish all your lines very well, and this is why we need to score, because it just folds so much better. And but the it's really nice when you have all your sides burnished. It doesn't make, it makes a crisp edge, not a rounded edge, if you know what I mean. Okay, this card is really simple to make. It's just to get it going here. It's easy, just that once you get to know the measurements. So now you end up with this. This becomes your recess. Can you tell? Inside, this becomes your recess. So, having done that, you're going to put that aside. Now we're going to do the frame on the front. So you're going to take yourself a piece of paper of your choice. I'm right now working with some Christmas stuff. And I'm going to cut out a piece measuring 4 1/4 by 5 3/8. Okay? So you're going to cut out 4 1/4 by 5 3/8. Once you have done that, you will flip it over, and you are going to do exactly the same thing as we did here. You are going to take it with a pencil, and you're going to mark 3/4 of an inch in, 3/4 of an inch in. You don't have to do 1 inch, just 3/4. So you're going to take your ruler, measure 3/4 of an inch, and put a notch, and then what I did is I made the lines across like that. And then instead of making an X, I don't have that quarter line either. All I did was cut out the center. And again, I used my X-Acto knife and my ruler, steel ruler, but you could, if you wanted to, use your cutting board. Once the lines are there, they're quite easy to measure. I find it's easy if you have the lines. You could use the measurements on your board. The way I'm showing you, in my mind, is the easiest way to do it. Now, once you've cut this part out, you are going to be left with a square. And what you need to do for this square, it's not going to fit in there for sure. So what you're going to need to do for this is you're going to end up having a square that looks like this. And you're going to need to make a piece for that. Now, at the moment, all we're going to do is we're going to adhere this to the front of your frame. Now, for me, I find that using my glue here is fine for working on cards. If it's going to take a lot of wear and tear, if it was an interactive card or something like that is what I mean, then I would probably look into putting something even heavier than what I'm putting here for my tape. But I like the tape. I find it works fine. You can use whatever glue you have. That's important. Now, I'm going to line it up, and from top to bottom, I should end up with a frame looking like this. Okay? And remember, these pieces are still hanging in there, like that. Now what I'm going to do is I want to put a piece in the center, like this. So I'm going to measure that. And in order to measure that is I'm going to take a piece. I had the piece here. I don't know where it disappeared to. But I swapped one piece for another. Well, maybe it's as easy for me to cut up another piece. What do you think? I believe so. I'm going to cut up another piece, and this piece is going to fit in the center here, which is going to be two and 3/4 by 3 3/4. But don't forget, we have the edges here. So we're going to do the inside of 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. That's what that is. 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. I'm puzzled to where that piece went. It flew away. Imagine that. And always remember how your paper is lining up, because you don't want to cut your paper like this. This is a great project for, this is a super great project for 6x6 paper pads. Couldn't ask any better for that. That's awesome. This is just awesome. 2 3/4. Am I correct there by saying that? 2 3/4? 2 3/4, yes. As they say, measure twice, cut once, and 3 3/4. And now, this should fit comfortably in here, like that. So that's the front of my card, right here. So I'm going to put some adhesive on this, like that. And if you've done your measurement right, your square should be square. In other words, you should have a 1/4 inch on each side, and you should be able to fit this piece comfortably inside like that. Okay? Your front is basically finished. Basically finished. When I say basically, I mean basically, because we still have to embellish this. But we're going to continue working on this card. We're going to go on the opposite side. Now you're going to open this card like this. Okay? So this is the underneath of the card, the underneath of the front cover. You are going to cut yourself a piece of cardstock that you want to match. You can use just plain if you like, but I wanted to continue with the decorative paper. So you're going to cut a piece that is going to be 3 7/8 by 2 7/8. Just a little larger than the cut itself. And the reason I like to have it just a little larger is just to cover the edges, and it just overlaps. Yeah, to me, it looks good that way. So all I'm going to do at this point is add it straight, like this, and that is done. So you can put a bit of pressure inside here, and that's done there. Now you're going to cut yourself 4 pieces of 4 strip. If you have plenty of paper and you would prefer just to make a frameless, you can do the same as what we did to cut the frame inside here. But I am not concerned about the inside. I just want it to be covered with pretty paper. So what I did is, with the leftover paper, I cut up 2 strips of 4 1/4 to go on the bottom by 3/4 of an inch. So this is, I'm going to add this to the card, and I'm going to line it, because you know that there's 3/4 of an inch here. So I'm going to line it, make sure that it's aligned with the bottom corner, and I'm going to run it to the next bottom corner like so, and run my finger through it to make sure that it's all added on there. And I'm going to do the same with the top. Love this glue. Love, love, love this tape. And then this one here is going to align with the first mark of your fold. So you're going to line it there because you don't want it to go any higher than that. If you do, what happens, it's going to roll. It's not going to fold properly. And you don't want that. This paper, I didn't put this paper on right, but I'll fix it up later. So this is not on properly either. Let me flip it around so I can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to add a bit more of my glue. It's a little hard when you're working a few inches away like this, but I'm going to, my main goal is to line it up and make sure that it doesn't overlap on each end, and there you go. And now I'm going to, I've cut up 2 pieces on the length, because this paper, the way it was going, I couldn't add it like that, or I didn't want to. 3 7/8, I have 2 pieces of 3 7/8, and it's going to fit right there. So I'm going to do the same thing. Now again, that is your choice, how you finish it. I'm just giving you the measurements that if you decide to do it like this, you will have all the right measurements to finish it off. I love it. I think it's really, really pretty. I find it fits everything you need. I don't know, it's just when you've opened the card, to me, I've never made one before. This is the one that I showed you that is finished. It was my trial piece. I tried to make one on camera and I messed it up. So I started again. And the reason I messed it up is I was giving you guys the wrong measurements, which did not please me at all, because I found myself doubting. I'm going to fix this right away because I do not like, I don't like the way it came across. I'm just going to add more adhesives. These parts won't show, so it really doesn't matter. I just did not add it straight, and that bothers me. Crazy, but true, I guess. When you're working away from yourself, sometimes that happens. There, that's much, much better. Much, much better. Okay, so now we've finished this part. So when you open up the card, this is the front. And now when you open it, it's not as much of an eyesore. If I wish to do this again, I'll tell you exactly what I would do, is I would make sure, that's okay, I don't mind having it like that, but I would make sure that all the images would be facing down. Now it's facing this way, which is okay. And now all you need to do is add your piece on the bottom, which will be 4 1/4 by, I think it's 5 and 5 and 5 and 5 and 1, 2, 3, 5 and 3/8. 5 and 3/8, and I'm going to add this in here. You can do whatever you want in the inside. You could leave it as is and just add on a few different pieces. Yeah, you know, the sky's the limit when it comes to making cards, right? I added this piece here, and my card is just about done. All I need to do at this point is add a little bit of embellishment like this, and all I did for that is use my oval scallops. You can use whatever you want. I used an oval scallop cutter here, these 2 sizes, and I just cut out a little reindeer in the middle. And the bigger one is the I don't like to that glare, sorry about that, but that iridescent foil, and then the inside is the deer looking up. I added a star, and I added also a bow, which is the bow that I added was just a ribbon like this, nothing fancy. I just took it up, and you guys all know how to make a bow, I'm sure. You just hold it together, wrap around your finger, pull it on each end, and you have a bow. And now you just need to adjust it, and that was my bow. And what I did here is I cut out a piece again of another of the foil, and I used this stamp that I had, and I just used the North Pole here, the North Pole, and I added it in there, and in the middle here I just added do not open till December 25th. I mean, you could put whatever you want. This here took me 3 pages. I had not quite 3 pages, 3 6x6 pages, because it was my demo, so I've never done it before, and I was following my instructions as I was going along and what I wanted to do. So this is here is exactly the same thing as this, and all I did was I used 3 pieces of paper because I misjudged some of my cuts. So this is why I have 3 pieces of paper. This one here, I used 2 pieces, this one, and another piece for just this. This is why my pieces are not blended this way. In order to use up all your paper, and if you do happen to want to split it, all I did is added a ribbon here on top of the slit where they both meet, and it made a beautiful little card. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm not going to finish this card up, as you can tell, on this one to save on time. And I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm already at 21 minutes, and I try to make it less than a half hour, some of my tutorials. And it's that easy. If you have any questions, contact me. I'm always there for you guys. And I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope if it's inspired you to do something different for your Christmas cards, and you try it. And if you do, please post. We love to see it. Have a great creative day. Bye-bye. This is Yvonne, and I'm signing off.